Welcome to Leo season. So we've made it. We're in 2026 and we're like about 5 degrees into Leo season. I'm recording this on the 26th of July of 2026. So we have made it through the Cancer season, and the Cancer season is already about review and review of like history and review of history and their history and the past and the receptive energies that guided us. Some people would say mother energy, but I would just say whichever, whoever your guardians or adults were in your life that were more receptive, um, as opposed to like extroverted. So there's some people that like their energy is very at the forefront, right? Some people are like, I'm here because I'm doing. And then there's other people who are like, I'm here because like you're drawn in. Come here. So the people that were in your life when you were growing up and through your past that were more receptive, that were like, come here, or that were more magnetic, whether they were that way with you or not. Maybe they were that way with everybody but you, unfortunately. Sorry. But that can happen. It's the receptive, those who are like, attract, magnetic, those guardians or adults from your childhood or whatever. It's the messages that you learned from your interactions with them that come up for review, and it comes up with who you interact with and how you interact with them. So for a lot of folks, that are older, that might have been the mother before, like, because sometimes what we project onto people in society ends up becoming their thing. So you might have been kind of coming up against stuff that reminded you of your mother. Tell me about your mother. Please don't. But you might have been coming up against that stuff and projecting that onto people and stuff like that. We all might have been doing that. If it wasn't your mother that was that way, maybe, your grandparent raised you, or you were adopted, or you were in foster care, whatever. It was the guardian that was that way, that you're going to be like processing the past month. So basically from June 20th until like July 20th, there was like a lot of processing of the past, and not just the past in your own personal life, definitely the past in your own personal life, because Chiron, the wounded healer, the degrees were very high, and they were even conjunct at times this year with Jupiter, which is about expansion, but not just that, but history as a whole, like history as a whole. And then on top of that, so it's Cancer season already has an aspect of review, and Cancers can be very adaptive and very adept at review, so much so that they're very intuitive. His intuition is about pattern recognition and being good at that quickly. So it wasn't just like on a personal level, but a historical, societal level. And on top of that, we also had Mercury in retrograde during Cancer season. And I believe Mercury, there was a lot of Gemini aspects going on. So this really affected Geminis, and it really affected Cancerians that were almost 30, near their first Saturn return. There's definitely some stuff coming up for those folks. And anybody else who maybe didn't get time to emotionally process things in their younger years. Some people went into the military right outside of high school, and now they're in their second Saturn return. So maybe they're near 60. So they might have now for the first time had a chance to actually like process and go over like emotional stuff. But we're out of that now. And it's so cool because like the first day that we went into Leo season, which is like, let your light shine kind of energy. The first day we go into that, all the retrograde ended, and it was kind of really like cool and fortuitous. And what also happened when we went into this fiery king of the jungle, lion-esque Leo energy, let your light shine, be the king, be the queen that you are. When we went into that, we also get Saturn going into retrograde. Saturn has to do with structure, and it went retrograde into Aries, and Aries has to do with the head, the physical body, the head, and the body, and our instincts and our impulses and how we start new things. So structure is Saturn, like the warden of structure. Saturn's like, okay, we've been in Pisces throughout most of this year, and our structure has been around making our dreams, Pisces, a reality. Well, now Saturn's like comes back and they're like, hey, I'm back. Now our lesson is to review what we learned about Aries last year and instincts and what our instincts tell us and what our body tells us and what our head, our physical head. Don't think dirty thoughts. You can if you want to. What we have learned from our instincts and our headaches or our body aches or our body or beginnings. Aquarius we're in the age of Aquarius. Aquarius moved into Pluto this year. So we're at the very beginning of a whole new world. And I don't see that in like a cliche, like Disney way. Like this is it. This is the age of Aquarius. And it started off rough in a lot of ways. And, Aries, like it's about going back to the beginning. So some of us already have projects that we've been working on. We're going to find ourselves, whatever that project was, whether it's a song that we wrote, going back to the beginning. What were the original intentions? I have a project where I used adhesive and now it's warmer out. I'm going to need to recheck that and make sure that, the modality that I chose to use for that art piece is still going to work and stick. At the very beginning, like reviewing the beginning. And, we have come out of Mercury retrograde, which has to do with the mind. And it was retrograde in Cancer season. So there was just so much emotional stuff, a lot of it having to do with our mothers, and stuff that we're projecting from like whatever they left us onto somebody else. Or other receptive type, magnetic type role models or guardians that were in our life, and reprocessing, like, what did we learn from them? Well, now that we're out of that, the shadow of it still exists. So there's still a little bit of like, a little bit of like sprinkling of it, but we're like pretty much done. Like it's still like in our minds and it's still like working itself out for like the first few days, but we're basically out of it. So this upcoming week, I'm recording this on the 26th of July. And I'll start by saying like the first 10 degrees of every season starts like around the 20th of every month. So the first 10 degrees has to do with our inner personal life. Our inner reality, like the stories that we make up in our head, the things that we process in the shower, like our inner world. The next 10 days, so that's usually like between the 1st and the 10th approximately of every month, has to do with like taking that out into community. And then the next 10 days, which is like the 10th to the 20th of every month, has to do with societal. So that's like when you're writing the letters to like Congress or whatever, societal type stuff on a bigger scale. Okay. So these first 10 days were probably on like 5 degrees at this point in Leo. It's about preparing ourselves internally for when we let our light shine, when we let people see us for who we are, when we let ourselves be known, when we come out of our shell, when we step up onto that stage, when we say that thing in public that we are meant to say, or maybe we're not meant to say it and we just say it, or whatever it is. It's about letting ourselves be seen. Like, hey, I'm here. I exist. I'm real. And I'm fabulous. Leo season is about being fabulous, doing it with a crown on your head. The first 10 days is about doing the work internally to like get there. So it's looking like, how do I appear when I'm out there? How do I want to appear when I'm out there? How do I appear when I put myself out there? How do I show up when I like, it's about, what words will I use and how do I prefer to navigate this and how do we do this? Um, and it can be about simple things too with the body, like what do I feel most comfortable in? Maybe this looks a particular way, but how does my body actually feel when I'm moving my body and doing things in my element with what I'm wearing? Like, it's about how we treat our body, because of the Aries and Saturn. And also because the first 10 days starts with 1 and Aries is the first of like the zodiac. Um, so those first 10 days like are about like that internal process, like the planning of it, making sure you're internally ready. Like, are you ready for it? Um, and what do you need? And um, so for this upcoming week, we have from the 27th until the 2nd. So we're going to be going through the final parts of our own internal self-development for those first 10 days. And then we're going to just start to like peek into community on August 1st or July 30th, around that time to August 2nd. So just talking about this upcoming week, we have like things have been slowed down this past month between June and July, like because there was just so much retrospective, reflective energy. Now things are going to start to speed up. We are in the year of the horse and it's the fire horse, and things are going to go faster and faster. And in the Northern Hemisphere, it's summertime and it's getting hot. And also it's Leo season, which is ruled by fire, and it's the biggest fire because it's Leo. But then we have Saturn, which is giving us structure. It's a review on how do we structure ourselves when the hot gets hot, when it gets hotter, when it is heated, when instincts arise, when primal instincts arise, when we are impulsive. How do we structure the parts of that in our life? So you might be noticing, like I'm noticing, and other people have been telling me that they're noticing, there's been a lot of close physical, like combat type stuff happening, like violence. That's what happens with that kind of energy when it's not, when it is used for destruction rather than for creation, when it is not being harnessed with a belief system that supports the empowerment that has to do with we are in charge of creating our world. We are in charge of creating our story. We are in charge of how we create our story, how we tell our story, how we exist, how we play our reality out. So those of us that don't have that kind of empowerment, don't believe in that kind of empowerment, have belief systems that hold us back and make us feel more victimized than in charge. There can be like this tendency to kind of stumble and get aggro and competitive, and start acting like things are scarce, and when reality might be showing us the opposite of that. We might just be so stuck in like scarcity mentality or outdated belief systems that were put onto us, or that we picked up from whatever receptive energies that we were exposed to through our life before these moments. So this time between now and like August 1st, this next week, it's a really good time to just like, yeah, you're working on new stuff, or you're about to shine, or you're about to make some changes and let yourself be seen again after a while of not being seen. Maybe you're in your Cancerian shell, because we just were in Cancerian season, and the crab shell, people like to hide in like a hermit in the crab shell, like a hermit crab. There's this urgency to like step out, but first it's like, how do you want to step out? Do you want to do your hair first? Do you want to put on some makeup? Do you want to think about how this conversation is going to go? Like, you want to, or you not doing the work to recognize that you have more power than you think you have, and you're just letting yourself get ruled by instinctual stuff, that quick in the moment dopamine hit, or aggro like vibe. So there's going to be people that are wrestling with that, and then there's going to be those of us who are aware that that's going to be a temptation, and we're going to get ourselves into the place where we are sitting for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, what have you, and just breathing. Or we're going to try the new meditation. We're going to get ourselves up on top of the hill, and we're going to find that hill that's like above it all, and just sit there and like let ourselves just be. This upcoming week is a really good time for that. Because there's some outmoded beliefs and ideals that need to be dissolved, that need to be let go of. You're going to feel like there's a full moon coming up, and it's going to feel delicate. It's going to feel like there's overbearing people, and they're going to be aggro, and they're going to try to dominate. And people who are more sensitive. So like, you're going to want to like, if you come up with stuff, especially for you Pisces, us Pisces are so good at taking on stuff that's not ours. You know, people like project all over the place, but Pisces will take that all on. Like anything to be like done with being the mermaid and actually be able to walk on the planet among mankind, humankind. And they'll be like, okay, I'll take that. I'll do it. Whatever you say. Like, okay, you want me to be this role? I'll be that role, whatever. But with Aries and Saturn, you do want to go back to the beginning and like review. So like, recently had someone be like, they make me feel so dumb. They're making me feel dumb. They're making me feel stupid. And I had to be like, wait a minute. And I scroll back to the beginning of our conversations a few years back. The first things that this person was telling me a few years ago was that they're dumb. They're insisting that I believe that they are dumb. And no matter what I would say, they're like, no, I'm dummy. Like as if they needed to prepare me for how dumb they are. Because they were afraid I was going to like abandon them or something if I figured it out, or I don't know. And they wouldn't take in new information. They just weren't like able to be like, to believe anything other than that about themselves. And then here they are telling someone, you make me feel dumb. So that's where you like go back to the beginning and you review that beginning. Saturn is about structure and Saturn in retrograde is about going back, and Aries is about the beginning. So go back before you end up in the weird obstacle or whatever. Go back and review. If you end up in a weird obstacle, go back and review. Try to do it from a little mountaintop. Try to do it from a hill. Try to do it from a place where you're just breathing. Try to avoid showing people the stuff that you're working on, that you're going to be shining on too soon. This week is more about the internal development time. After Saturday, August 1st, until like the next 10 days, until like August 10th, that'll be time to start bringing it out a little bit. But right now it's time to do like the self-care, like maybe you take a moment to breathe before you go on stage kind of time. It's that incubation self time. So we have a T-square with Mercury and Venus that's happening this week that makes things just feel kind of nitpicky and intense. And Wednesday's going to feel super delicate, and you're going to have to be careful. Like, people might get aggro with you. Just avoid it. Let them be aggro with you. See if they feel like being aggro with you during Virgo season. See if they feel like being aggro with you during like another season. Like, just like let it be for now. But right now it's hot, like Aries, Leo, and this T-square with the mind and the heart. So people are going to have sharp tongues. That means like they're going to be like spewing things that are painful and hurtful this week. And it can lead to like broken hearts and hurt feelings. So Sunday, it's this T square is like at its finest. It's also there like on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday is going to feel a little, it's going to let up a little. So Sunday is a good day to just keep it calm. Just try to stay chill if you can. And Saturday though is going to be so nice. Saturday is going to be like just a great time for like being chatty and being bubbly and having fun. So Wednesday, just take good care. Be aware, be aware of your surroundings, watch your body, be careful not to hit your head, be careful because Aries rules the head and the body. So be careful of your body and protect that beautiful body of yours. All of you have beautiful vessels, bodies to take care of, and you deserve to, and protect it. And take care of your projects and keep them more private this week, like work on polishing them and deciding like how do you want them to show and how do you want them to look. You deserve to do that. You deserve to like take a moment for yourself before you put yourself out there. And this week is a great time for that. Thursday is a great time to get the muggle things done. The mundane things, like Thursday is a great time to like finish the things on your to-do list. And yeah, what else can I say? There's just going to be like a tsunami of difficult emotions this week, kind of similar to how it was going on in Cancer. But in Cancer, it was really about like past history and past childhood processing and the history of humankind processing. This time it's going to be more like in your face. It's going to be more instinctual. It's going to be more impulsive. It's going to be more about ego, because Leo is about ego and Aries is like, it's fire, it's ego. And not all of us have like developed egos. We weren't allowed to, like, we didn't know as humankind, humanity didn't know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, humanity didn't know what we know now. So like we can all use like a little ego boost sometimes, or a little nourishing of our ego. The ego is what like helps us like, feel like we deserve to exist. And we can all use like that this week, but it needs to come from like the inside out. It needs to be like, you decide what you want. This is a great week to decide, what do you want your first impression to be for others? What do you want? Because nobody ever forgets the first impression. What do you want them to feel? It's always going to be kind of in the back of their cellular memory. The first impression is, think about, what would you like the first impression of you to be? Do you want the first impression of you to be that you're impulsive and hot-headed? Or do you want the first impression of you to be something else that you're deciding it's what you would like it to be? When you show your face, the head, Aries rules the head. When you first start something, how do you want to be seen? Leo is about being seen and having the light shine on things and yourself. So yeah, this is a great week to be like working on that stuff internally and getting ready for next week, when you start really like bringing it out to like your immediate family or your friends or your community. So yeah, happy Leo season. I hope you enjoy it and just take good care. I highly recommend, like, if you're able to do meditation, like, this is a really good week to just take moments to breathe and just try to stay out of the altercations, because a lot of them are just hot-headed ego things, and people, there's the people that don't feel empowered to like try to take control of their like realities to like make things better. The people who have been beat down the most, whether they're doing it to themselves or having it done to them or doing it to themselves because it's been done to them so much, you know, those of us who experience that, like, we deserve to breathe. We deserve to have a moment where we can let old thought patterns and belief systems dissolve and make way for stuff that's more self-serving and self-serving in a way that like helps us like meet our purpose in a way that helps everyone. Because when we're truly like living in our like what we feel we're meant to, like it's works out for others too. And those of us who are not like doing that kind of like just, you know, like when we run into folks that aren't willing to do that kind of work or aren't aware or aren't, you know, like if they're not open to hearing it because they're maybe their destiny is to be more in the heat, step out. You don't have to be in the heat. You don't have to absorb it. You can get yourself into a different environment and take good care of yourselves. Okay, happy Leo season. Next week it's gonna start to get fun. It's gonna start getting fun, but right now it's about nourishment and taking good care of ourselves. Cheers.